Visit us on the web at www.wavelength-radio.com.
You're listening to Wavelength Radio from Cool Wave Pictures. Wavelength Radio presents Happy Hour with Cameron Cooper.
Come together right now over me.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Wavelength Radio by Cool Wave Pictures. This is the Happy Hour program by Cameron Cooper. Cameron is not with us tonight. He is visiting some relatives. My name is Brian MacKenzie, and I'm fortunate to join him for this evening. And we will have a good show for you tonight. And we are on wavelength-radio.com. And after we go over some topics, if you want to call in and discuss whatever may be on your mind, we have a toll-free number, 1-800-421-5308. And locally in the Phoenix area, 602-288-6794. And just to get the show started off on the right foot, a little quick biography about myself is my name is Brian MacKenzie. I am 40 years old, and I just recently lost my virginity to actually doing live radio broadcast. So I'd like to thank those involved for helping me accomplish that goal. And basically, what we're going to be doing tonight, I'm going to probably stay in my comfort zone, and basically what that is talking about music, and the impact that music has on our life, and the different songs and the different genres that help us either get through the day, get through maybe a rough time in our life, or if you're ready to party, what songs really get you going. Because, we're very fortunate to be, in a country that allows basically any type of music. So, we should be very thankful for that. I know with me, there have been many times where you either rely on a particular song, or you just happen to be driving along and a new song will come on the radio and just floor you. So, that's part of the show. If you have any stories or instances that you maybe like to call in and share with us, that's 800-421-5308, and locally 602-288-6794. Also during the broadcast, I just want to discuss a little bit maybe, how the music business has changed. From where it's gone from like the 50s and how it's evolved into basically an American call-in show to pick your next star, and what kind of impact that might have on working bands, bands that are in the bars, the artists that are out there 4 hours a night in the grunge and the smoke-filled, well, not anymore in Scottsdale or Phoenix area or anywhere really. So. Used to be maybe the smoke stench is still embedded in the walls. So, what kind of impact that has on them getting signed and getting their music out there when there's all these new ways of finding stars, so to be. And also, this is throughout the whole program. We're just came up with a little trivia thing. Maybe it's called Stump the Bry Guy. I know a lot about Elvis and the Beatles, and I pride myself on knowing a lot of information. A lot of people think it's useless information. So if you do have, if you think you can come up with a reasonable question, to call in and see if I know the answer or not. What I mean by reasonable is I'm not sure what color underwear Elvis was wearing on the Ed Sullivan Show, or if Paul McCartney wore tighty whities. So something within reason that I might have a shot at answering that question.
Is it true Paul McCartney's wife didn't have a leg?
His second wife.
Oh, okay.
Yes, she was missing a leg, and I'm sure that caused for some irritation in the bedroom.
Did he beat her with the leg?
For $56 million, I guess that would be allowed. Maybe just one swing. I don't know. And also, just to maybe go over a little bit within the Beatles, how the Beatles saved rock and roll. In my opinion, during the late 50s, rock and roll suffered a few crises, and how the Beatles' music kind of brought that back in to our mainstream music. So, okay, well, we'll be ready for your phone calls, and our numbers again, toll free is 800-421-5308, and locally is 602-288-6794, and you're listening to Wavelength Radio.
You're listening to Wavelength Radio from Cool Wave Pictures.
Visit us on the web at www.wavelength-radio.com.
You're listening to Wavelength Radio from Cool Wave Pictures. Wavelength Radio presents Happy Hour with Cameron Cooper.
Come together right now over me.
Hey, welcome back to Wavelength Radio by Cool Wave Pictures, the happy hour program with Cameron Cooper. Again, my name is Brian MacKenzie, filling in for Cameron, who is away tonight, and we look forward to having him back next week. To call in, we have a toll-free number, which is 800-421-5308, and our local number is 602-288-6794. And basically what we touched on before is just the impact that music has on our life. It may be a bad day at work, or during the work day, if you're driving in your car and you have your favorite CD, what kind of songs do you play, or what maybe are your favorite songs to lift your spirits. There's so many different genres of music out there. There are ones that lift your spirits, ones that can make you sad, and also ones that can make you probably angry too. So I personally like to listen to some upbeat music. I like a lot of Elvis and Beatles, and a lot of the new stuff. I do like Bon Jovi, which hopefully my wife is probably listening, but this will be the first time that she'll know that I'll admit that. She is the big Bon Jovi fan in our family. And also we touched on how the music business has changed, and I guess we'll touch on that just a little bit. It's hard to imagine that around 50, 60 years ago, a young man of 19 was able to walk into a recording studio in Memphis, Tennessee, and hand over $4 and lay down a 2-song disc for his mother on his birthday. And a year later, the king of rock and roll was upon us. Being involved with different bands in New Jersey, New York area, back in the 80s and mid-90s, the amount of competition and bars and opportunities, and bands trying to get signed, very difficult to do. And it just seems that the hard work of lugging the gear, the van, the travel, has been replaced by call in on your cell phone to text in what the opinion is on somebody who's basically auditioning for stardom. And I don't know if that cheapens it. If I guess there's that cliche that people throw out. If people have paid their dues to earn the right to have their songs broadcast on the radio, and also part of the celebrity and the money that comes along with it, I do believe that there are several, probably hundreds or thousands of talented songwriters, performers out there that we'll probably never hear from, just because of the way the music business is currently run. And it just seems, the 4 or 5 piece band with instruments, they're out there. You hear them on the radio, but a lot of it is it seems you dress less, and it seems that you are on the radio more. And the quality of music, as far as the lyrical content, some songs, I just you just don't understand. Oops, I did it again. I guess you're looking for something more poetic and lyrically challenging that actually somebody put into thought and what they were writing. Because writing songs it may seem easy, but it's not. It's you're constructing something from your brain, and you're pulling in ideas from your heart and your soul, and you're trying to make an original melody, come up with original words that touch you, and that your goal is to make or create a song that will touch one person or touch 100 people. And if you think that you've accomplished that, to be able to get that out there, to have people have a chance to listen to it, is in the bars. It's at open mics that they have around the Phoenix area, and that takes a lot of work, the whole process. And if you love doing it, if it's a hobby, that's fine. But if you're looking for it to be a career, and you want to be that rock star, I know that's very hard to achieve these days, just because of the expectations or the showmanship that is expected from our artists now. And also, another thing that sometimes bothers me with the music business is, when you pay your money to buy, you pay the money, at least hopefully you could still go out and buy the records that are in the stores, because people do need to get paid for what they do. But if you write a hit song and you're given a lot of money, I just don't understand how that all of a sudden enlightens people to the causes and troubles of the world. It seems, I appreciate artists speaking out, but I just don't see how all of a sudden they become so worldly and so well read. And personally, I don't care for most of their opinions or their political views. I just want them to play the song that I paid for and to be entertained. And outside of that, I really don't care what they do. I'm not interested in the tabloid or any of the private life that they lead. Just continue to provide me with good songs that help our lives out, and don't try and fill us with political or other ideas that may interfere with that. So if you have any opinions or concerns about what I've talked about, please give us a call at toll-free 800-421-5308. And locally is 602-288-6794. You're listening to Wavelength Radio, Happy Hour with Cameron Cooper. I'm Brian MacKenzie.
You're listening to Wavelength Radio from Cool Wave Pictures.
Visit us on the web at www.wavelength-radio.com.
You're listening to Wavelength Radio from Cool Wave Pictures. Wavelength Radio presents Happy Hour with Cameron Cooper.
Come together right now over me.
Okay, welcome back to Wavelength Radio, the Happy Hour program. Cameron Cooper. My name is Brian MacKenzie, filling in for Cameron, who is away at the moment. And let me give those numbers out again, just in case they weren't coming out clear. It's the toll-free number is 800-421-5308, and our local number in the Phoenix area is 602-288-6794. What I've been talking about is music and the impact that it has on our lives, and also how the music business has changed in this modern era of pop songs. So we're really looking for your opinion and concerns, or maybe even a story that you might want to tell our listeners about a song that maybe helped you through a hard time or a breakup, or a song that lifted you up, or got you through a bad time, or just a favorite song of that you just like to share with us on why that particular song means so much to you. And also, if you please call in if you want to rag on the Idol show or any of the contestants, or any of the new shows that they look to try and find artists instead of being the old-fashioned way of going out there and finding the true artists and getting them signed and on the radio. So we encourage your calls, and I am here with my producer Charles Peterson, and we'd appreciate some other voices, because he does have a nice voice, but I can only take so much of it. And also, if you do have any questions or trivia within regards to Elvis or the Beatles, please call in and see if you can stump the Bry Guy. I look forward to the competition, and we encourage any trivia that you might have on either Elvis or the Beatles that you might want to see if I might know the answer to. We don't have any tremendous prizes like trips to Paris, but we'll be working on that on the next couple of weeks. But you can warm yourself up by giving us a call, 800-421-5308, and that is our toll-free number. And locally, Phoenix is 602-288-6794. So please give us a call. And as you could probably tell, so far the music that's been played has been some upbeat. We had some Elvis and some Bon Jovi. And right now I'd just like to get into a little bit about a history of rock and roll. Not so much the origin of it, but how the Beatles might have actually saved rock and roll and brought rock and roll back into the mainstream culture. And of course, at any point in time you feel like you wanted to chime in on any of the topics, please call us. Now, in 1958, Elvis Presley was drafted into the Army. Buddy Holly, Ritchie Valens, the Big Bopper, all died in a plane crash. And Chuck Berry was arrested for violating the Mann Act, which was an act initiated back in 1910, where he hired a 14-year-old girl to be a hat check girl at his nightclub, but she was arrested for prostitution, and he did spend 5 years in jail. And Jerry Lee Lewis, we all know Jerry Lee Lewis, married his 13-year-old cousin. And Alan Freed, the father of rock and roll, self-proclaimed, was convicted of payola and other charges within the rock and roll industry, causing a large problem within the image of rock and roll, since America at the time was having a problem with the way that rock and roll was being portrayed. And since Elvis, Buddy Holly, Ritchie Valens, Jerry Lee Lewis, the Big Bopper, and Alan Freed were basically out of the way, there was a new genre of music that came in, and I guess you would call it the original teen idol. That basically started to bring in, very nice-looking young men with, I guess you can say, the Elvis haircut without the sideburns. Some people like Fabian and Frankie Valli. Songs like "Turn Me Loose," and all those beach movies with Annette Funicello were really kind of the genre that was going on through the late 50s and early 60s. And during that period of time, the Beatles were in 1960 in Hamburg, Germany, poor and sleeping in awful places, but were wearing leather gear and playing dive nightclubs, but they were banging out the rock and roll that just got over to England, Chuck Berry, Elvis Presley. And they started to rip through these songs, and the German people loved it, and they became a really big act in Germany because of the American rock and roll. And fortunately, They were able to pull their act together as far as musically and instrumentally, and also, as we will know in the future, their songwriting capabilities. And basically, it all came together in 1964 when the Beatles came over for their first U.S. visit, that people got to hear, again, songs by Chuck Berry, Little Richard, Buddy Holly, in a different fashion, in a Beatle kind of way. And I think that the Beatles also helped the nation. What kind of eludes us is that President Kennedy was killed November 22nd of 1963, and it occurred to me one day that the Beatles came over February 7th of 1964. So 63 and 64 make it seem like it was a year, but it was actually only just around a 3-month period from the time that we had an assassinated president and the country was in kind of a gray area, that the Beatles came over, and this hysteria happened, the Beatlemania, and it kind of brought the country back to life. If you have any opinions or concerns, or if you feel I'm off base about that, please give us a call. Our toll-free number is 800-421-5308, and locally is 602-288-6794. And also you can email us at coolwaveradio@gmail.com. Okay. So those are basically the topics that I'm throwing out there, and we're looking forward to maybe talking to you guys, to have some people come in and voice their opinions. This is the Happy Hour with Cameron Cooper, and my name is Brian MacKenzie.
You're listening to Wavelength Radio from Cool Wave Pictures.
Visit us on the web at www.wavelength-radio.com.
You're listening to Wavelength Radio from Cool Wave Pictures. Wavelength Radio presents Happy Hour with Cameron Cooper.
Come together right now over me.
Hey, welcome back to Wavelength Radio, the Happy Hour program. Cameron Cooper. My name is Brian MacKenzie, filling in for Cameron tonight, and we appreciate you listening in tonight. Our toll-free number is 800-421-5308. Locally is, in the Phoenix area, is 602-288-6794. And it looks like we have our first caller who's going to make their attempt to stump the Bry Guy in regards to a trivia question, whether it be between Elvis or the Beatles. Scott, are you there?
Yeah, I didn't have a question to stump. I was asking an opinion of the Bry Guy.
Oh, the opinion of the Bry Guy. Okay, well, we appreciate your call. And what's on your mind, Scott?
I was wondering what you thought of how the public's opinion maybe was changed or altered by the knowledge of the Beatles being avid drug users.
Okay, well, that's gonna let's see the way the public viewed the Beatles after their
after knowing
drug use,
either during the time or nowadays when it's even more apparent.
Yeah, I think probably back then, during the '60s, the drug culture was just starting, and as far as the fans and their music sales seemed to just keep they were still able to sell a lot more albums, and it appears their creativity was expanded by their use of marijuana, which was introduced to them by Bob Dylan on their second trip back to New York. As far as I know that it caused especially in the house that I grew up in, my parents, especially my dad, was strictly the Mop Tops, and he did like some of the songs, but was not too fond of the hippie look and the drug use.
Hmm. So it probably appealed more to the younger generation that later grew up.
I think that with the younger generation, I think since I am a Beatles fan and I love all their music, from their early hits to their later hits, but I feel that the younger generation is more geared toward probably 66 to 70. Their albums are probably the Abbey Roads, the White Album, the more harder rock. As a 17, 18, 19-year-old, it'll be hard for me to think that they're going to want to listen to I Want to Hold Your Hand or For Me to You, which are great songs. I think that this generation, they do like the Beatles, but I think it's a split from their suit and tie image to their long hair, Let It Be, Abbey Road days.
Well, what do you think about the statements that John Lennon has made before about doing acid over 100 times? And seeing as the type of person that he's turned out to be, what could you say about the relationship between the two?
I think that, for John Lennon, and just from what I've read and from what I've heard, is he was dealing with a lot of issues in his life, and once you get into drugs and you are in that business at that time, any drug is accessible to you, and for him to come out with songs like the Lucy in the Sky and the imagery, and he was all about the psychedelic imagery. He really believed that was realism, which is why he probably did take quite a few acid trips. It possibly could have affected his perspective on how people may have thought of him, and later on whether his fan base was still there, or because he took a lot of abuse with Yoko. So I think maybe his confidence and his self-esteem within regards to the public might have been affected by that.
As in, he grew from it?
I think he grew into it, and then he grew out of it. I think during that period where he didn't write any songs, I don't really remember reading Scott about anything about him using hard drugs anymore. Maybe marijuana occasionally, but it seemed he was on this. Straight. Him and Yoko were on the straight and narrow when they were planning their new album and their world tour, which unfortunately didn't happen.
Cool. Well, thanks.
Okay. Well, thank you for calling. Okay, that was Scott from Mesa with some tough questions, but. There was a strange period in the 60s. There was a lot of drugs going on, and depending on the type of person that you were, or the situation that you were in, you may wind up on the streets in the gutter doing heroin and acid, or you might be someone creative like a John Lennon and still be able to create music that's good. But if you listen to John Lennon music during that time period, from the Imagine album, probably up to maybe 72, 73, there is a lot of angry songs and a lot of depressing songs in there too. So those drugs did take a toll on him, and he expressed them in his songs, and I'm sure it expressed those songs came over on people, and it affected their lives as well. And we have Roger
Hello.
from Tempe online with us, and how are you tonight, Roger?
Hi, this is Roger. How are you?
I'm good. You sound excited.
Yeah, I'm going to stump you.
You're going to stump the
I go to ASU and I'm Indian, but I got something to stump you with.
And did you say you're from ASU?
ASU.
Ask me.
You.
Or ask you.
No, ASU. ASU.
Oh, ASU. Oh. Okay.
Yeah, I got something to stump you with. Okay. I want to ask you, was it the Beatles that were the very first ones to go on a building and rock and roll?
Well, Roger, I'm going to have to say yes to that answer. That was on the top.
Oh, good. Glory be. I totally stumped you.
Oh, you have another performance where they performed on a roof?
Yes, actually, it was Jefferson Airplane. They were the first ones to do it. Oh, my God. Can I come down to the studio to kiss your feet?
You can maybe wash my feet, as long as you've washed yours first.
Oh, boy. Did I stump you or what? It was actually Jefferson Airplane.
I'm not sure if you actually stumped me. Can you give me the location of this?
Somewhere in New York, my friend. In New York. Somewhere in New York. I forget the building.
Somewhere in New York.
They were
Jefferson Airplane.
Yeah, they were actually the first ones to do that.
Do you know what year it was?
1968. I think.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I'm going to look this up, Raj. And there's special technology here that, I'll know where to find you.
Well, I appreciate...
Stumping the Bry Guy is, that's a tough thing to do. So
I like listening to Happy Hour, and I just want to say that I like you too as well for a fill-in. But I gotta go back to my class now.
Okay, you go back to your class and you work on that D. But thank you for calling in, Roger. We appreciate it, and it sounds like he did stump the Bry Guy. So congratulations, Roger, and good luck in your class there at ASU. Okay, so far, that has been two difficult questions or opinions, and I've enjoyed both of them. And of course, listeners, again, this is the first time on radio for me, so just feeling my way through. But again, feel free to call in at our toll-free number at 800-421-5308, and our local number 602-288-6794. This is Wavelength Radio, the Happy Hour program. Cameron Cooper. I'm Brian MacKenzie.
You're listening to Wavelength Radio from Cool Wave Pictures.
Visit us on the web at www.wavelength-radio.com.
You're listening to Wavelength Radio from Cool Wave Pictures. Wavelength Radio presents Happy Hour with Cameron Cooper.
Come together right now over me.
Okay, welcome back to Wavelength Radio, the Happy Hour program. Cameron Cooper. My name is Brian MacKenzie, filling in for Cameron, who is with family at the moment. And we are live, and if you feel if you've been listening to the program and any of the topics interest you, please give us a call, toll free at 800-421-5308, and our local Phoenix number 602-288-6794. Also email us at coolwaveradio@gmail.com. And we did have a couple callers before, and so far I am 0 for 1 on Stump the Bry Guy. So, if you guys can help me out with trying to improve my mark, phone calls and trivia questions are obviously welcome. So we pretty much covered, how music has impacted our lives and affects our moods. Hopefully we can get back into getting bands back out there on the radio. And we had obviously Roger Stump the Bry Guy, and we appreciate Scott's call in regards to the Beatles and their effect on the current generation. For my final song that I'd like to play for you, dedicating it to my father. He was a rock and roller back in the 50s, and of course he got married, had a couple kids, and led the suburban lifestyle. He did pass away a couple years ago, But before so, he was able to finally record some of his favorite songs from that era. And but he never was able to get any songs on radio during his career. So I'd like to fulfill that dream for him tonight. So I'd just like to introduce Brian MacKenzie and the Teen Beats, coming live from Yonkers, New York, with their version of Dream Lover.
Every night I hope and pray a dream lover will come my way, a girl to hold in my arms and know the magic of her charms, because I want a girl to call my own. I want a dream lover so I don't have to dream alone. Dream lover, where are you? With a love oh so true, and a hand that I can hold to be with me as I grow older. 'Cause I want a girl to call my own. I want a dream lover so I don't have to dream alone. Someday, I don't know how, I know she'll hear my plea. Someday, I don't know how, she'll bring her love to me. A dream lover, until then I'll go to sleep and dream again. That's the only thing to do till all my loving dreams come true. 'Cause I want a girl to call my own. I want a dream lover so I don't have to dream alone. Dream lover, until then I'll go to sleep and dream again. That's the only thing to do till all my loving dreams come true. 'Cause I want a girl to call my own. I want a dream lover so I don't have to dream alone. Please don't let me dream alone. I don't want to dream alone. Yeah, I don't want to dream alone.
Okay, and that was Brian MacKenzie and the Teen Beats. And that would be my father. So hopefully he heard that up in heaven and will pry those gates open for me when I pay a visit to him up there. So I just want to say thank you. It's been a pleasure filling in for Cameron, and we look forward to him having him back on the Wavelength Radio Happy Hour program, and to discuss important topics, current events that are always happening around us. And I would just like to say thank you, and thank you for Scott and Roger for giving us a call. I hope you enjoyed the program, and possibly I would like to think maybe in the future we'll be able to talk again. So my name is Brian MacKenzie, Wavelength Radio. And upcoming, we have the Patrick Adams Show coming up, so you definitely want to stay tuned for that. Thank you.
You're listening to Wavelength Radio from Cool Wave Pictures.